Sanctum Peter otium, Deus in renewal, Hippitus hopitus reus Domine, Insus viatoreum, Lepus in re sanctum, Hippitus hopitus Deus Domine.
Found across much of the Americas, Africa, and Eurasia, and later imported to Australia and various islands across the world, the rabbit is one of the most prolific creatures of the planet, coming into contact with nearly every human culture, with the exceptions of the most far-flung places in the world. Symbols of speed and energy, but also weakness and vulnerability. Icons of innocence, but also icons of corn. Being small animals that graze along the low-lying grasses, rabbits, more than any other animal, are aware of the concept that nature is red in tooth and claw, as it's oftentimes their blood that is spilled. With no significant defense mechanisms to protect themselves, natural selection has led the rabbit to focus on speed, hearing, and, well, horniness. Speedy legs for running away from predators and digging burrows for shelter, tall ears to detect any sound of predators, and the sex drive of Riley Reid to make sure that their genetic lineage moves on to tomorrow and many other tomorrows. Rabbits pretty much live in a state of perpetual fear. However, these four characteristics of the rabbits would lead this animal without claws, venom, poison, shells, or a large brain to find themselves on nearly every terrestrial biome save Antarctica. No matter how many predators hunted them down, be they foxes, bears, wolves, or humans, no matter how many diseases wiped out their populations, no matter how much of their habitat was destroyed, these long-eared Usain Bolts and Lisa Anns combined would outrun and outbreed whatever horrors Mother Nature threw at them, including humans. Early humans, and humans to this day, would eat rabbits for food due to their lean protein. Due to their speed in burrowing, it must have been proven very difficult to actually hunt them before the advent of trapping and archery. Dogs, the first domesticated animal, would play a significant role in hunting rabbits due to their keen sense of smell. Eventually, as civilization was drawn in, other animals would be domesticated, such as ferrets, which could lead rabbits out of their burrows. Rabbit meat became a staple of many roaming travelers across the plains and forests of trade routes, oftentimes into the furthest reaches of the unknown. When the Romans wanted to start a new settlement, they would oftentimes have a priest eat the liver of a rabbit they hunted, as the priest's bodily reaction would be indicative of the quality of the water and foliage, since the liver is the main organ for removing toxins. Oftentimes, these far-flung travelers would die not from starvation, but what is called rabbit starvation, otherwise known as protein poisoning. This term stems from the fact that rabbits are very lean, built for running very fast, and barely have any fat. And while this is good for weight loss, it is terrible for getting any substantial amount of necessary fat in your diet, and this can lead to death. Excessive protein is particularly rough on your kidneys. Prehistoric humans up in the mountains and tundra had to resort to these sort of diets based off of lean protein from rabbits and other similar animals, and as a result did not survive for long. However, when paired with other sources of nutrition, rabbits can provide a good source of lean protein that are easy to produce in large quantities due to the fact that rabbits breed like, well, rabbits. And while not a major source of protein in the Anglosphere, it has been a major component of various cuisines, most notably in Spain's. In ancient Jewish law, rabbits were considered unclean like pigs and shrimp. Jewish law only allowed for the consumption of two-hoofed animals like goats and sheep. Rabbits were oftentimes associated with excess fearfulness and spinelessness in Jewish culture. Despite being considered unclean by Jewish law, rabbits were usually depicted positively in an offshoot of Judaism, Christianity. Seen as symbols of life due to how fast, harmless, and gentle they are, their prolific breeding made them a symbol of rebirth in the coming spring in many cultures that would eventually adopt Christianity. The most notable example of this is of course Easter with the Easter Bunny. Granted, the pagan influence on Easter customs is very complex and probably requires an entire video on its own. This partially explains the role of rabbits as a symbol for Easter. Easter happens during the spring when babies are born and flowers bloom, and after a period of darkness of winter, this symbolizes the return of life and the triumph over death, just as Jesus does. Being more frequently seen in spring when summers rise again, rabbits oftentimes were a symbol of fertility, which by and large is strange for a religion like Christianity, which tends to inhibit sexuality. On the other side of the Asian landmass, the rabbit was one of the 12 animals to take part in the zodiac, usually symbolizing good luck, tranquility, and as strange as it sounds, longevity. I don't know how longevity came into the picture, since rabbits usually live fairly short lives, shorter than a decade, and by and large are preyed upon quite often. Rabbits were not one of the animals domesticated during the advent of agriculture like chickens, cattle, goats, sheep, and pigs. It would not be until the classical age when rabbits were kept in enclosures for meat and fur, namely by the Romans. And it was not until the Middle Ages when monks living in monasteries would really turn the rabbit into a truly domesticated animal, and the craft of rabbit keeping into an actual hobby, if not a profession. At this point, natural selection was not the only game in town. Artificial selection played a role as new breeds of European rabbits emerged and were less fearful of humans, had more meat and more fat, and could more easily reproduce. And while not very intelligent, they're not particularly dumb either. Rabbits can be trained to take craps in litter boxes like cats. With ongoing generations of rabbits being raised, partially by humans in human-built environments, domesticated rabbits are not quite as anxious and fearful as their wild counterparts. They don't need large enclosures, and when taking care of their babies, humans could ensure that they would survive. This domestic abundance made them useful in scientific experiments, as most notably the rabies vaccine used rabbits. You can thank rabbits for the fact that your dog probably will not kill you. Far more controversially, rabbits have oftentimes been used for testing cosmetics. Isolated farms, organized breeding, and specific breeders looking for specific traits alongside the short lifespan and frequent breeding made the emergence of various domestic breeds possible. Some were also raised for fur. And while their fur and pellets were used, their small bodies made it hard to turn them into full-blown garments. And the lack of waterproof fur made them not as coveted, to say that of the beaver. Overall, the practice of rabbit farming declined as people moved into the cities, and rabbit farming is probably not a good idea when you live in an apartment. As subsistence farming based off of families producing their own food ended up being taken over by large-scale commercial farming, the vast majority of the population moved into cities and took on other professions, and this led to a decline in rabbit farming. With the commercial farming system bent on squeezing out as much marginal profits from being the most productive, rabbits just could not compete with chickens. Chickens also breed easily, produce eggs, and most of their meat does have a lot of fat. As a result, rabbit farming just kind of became more of a niche for special occasions. Granted, the efficiency argument would not work when compared to beef, as cattle are very inefficient. People continue to use cattle as opposed to rabbits, probably due to the fact that people still want to eat red meat. I suppose at the end of the day, this is a good thing for rabbits since we don't require mass farming to keep their numbers high. And given the life of a chicken in a factory farm, let's just say rabbits have been spared a lot of misery. Nonetheless, rabbits have become popular pets, living better lives than those on the farm, and indeed the woods. However, their care is more intensive than most people recognize, and many people abandon them, oftentimes putting them out in the wild so they can become invasive species. And speaking of invasive species, while rabbits are native to almost anywhere with soil to dig up and eat rooted plants, there are a few places where they weren't too native, and they were oftentimes brought there by Europeans. The most notable example is Australia. Given Australia's geographic isolation, evolution took quite a unique detour with countless endemic species. This makes the ecosystems of this landmass much more vulnerable, as many of the animals and the plants can't be found anywhere else in the world. And alas, some newcomers, with very few natural predators, can easily overrun the existing area. European rabbits, alongside cats and cane toads, are some of Australia's most destructive invasive species. Rabbits do this by overgrazing, which causes erosion, which is terrible for farming, flooding, and the survival of native plants and the animals that rely on them. Like many stories of invasive species, such as the feral pigs of North America, these rabbits were oftentimes brought to provide food for colonists. They breed so quickly, which turned out to be their worst weapon. Such a harmless animal managed to become so destructive due to the power of its sex drive. Putting practical matters aside, rabbits have also found themselves in nearly every human storytelling tradition from any human culture that has observed them. My personal favorite of this is the lunar body. In many East Asian cultures, people see the shape of a rabbit on the dark volcanic plains of the moon. It looks like a rabbit trying to make some sort of food, and as a result, Japanese folktales involve the rabbit making rice cakes on the moon, which is kind of really lame and awesome at the same time. Glossing over countless other tales that would make this video too long, British children's literature, with its predilection for making temperate forest-dwelling animals anthropomorphic, would turn the rabbit into major characters, such as that of Peter the Rabbit and the rabbits in Alice in Wonderland. And of course, when it comes to the American post-war era, you get American pop culture, which brought us with White Rabbit and Bugs Bunny. Do I really need to explain more about that? Let Chungus tell you the rest. And that's all, folks.